Morning, students. So in this video, I'm going to explain related persons definition. The definition is given in explanation to section 15. Related persons definition is given in explanation to section 15. Section 15 deals with valuation of taxable supply. Okay, so now the question arises is, since the definition is given, so section 15, if you look at the Bare Act, it is related to value of taxable supply. Okay, right. So since the definition is not given in section 2, since the definition is given in section 15, you may come across a doubt whether it is applicable to the whole act or only for that valuation of a taxable supply. The answer is it is applicable to whole act. Therefore, whenever you are reading any definition which is not covered in section 2, which is covered elsewhere, you have to check for which provisions that definition is applicable. That is very important. Normally, if a definition is covered in section 7, section 2 itself, no problem, it will be applicable to the whole act. But if the definition is given in some other sections, not in section 2, then you have to check the scope of the applicability of the definition. Scope of the applicability of the definition. So look at this explanation that says, for the purpose of this act, for the purpose of this act, that means the definition of related persons as given in section 15 is applicable to the whole CGST Act, not only to section 15. The definition of related persons as given in for the purpose of this act. Okay, the definition of section 15, related persons as given in section 15 is applicable to the whole act. Okay, right. Be careful. So whenever any definition is given other than in section 2, you first look at the applicability of the definition. Okay, right. Next. Now we'll read the definition. So that is the same as given in the ICA board material. Look at the ICA board material. The term related persons has been defined in explanation to section 15. Okay. So, but it is applicable to whole act. Look at this. So, who are all called as related persons? Persons including legal persons are deemed as related persons if such persons are officers or directors of one another's business. Officers or directors of one another business. And look at the third point. Such persons are employer and employee. We can correlate first point and third point. What the first point says, one company is there, one business entity is there. Okay, one business entity. So in that business entity, director will be there. In that business entity, director will be there. Below that, officer will be there. Below that, employee will be there. So this business entity, I can call it as a employer. This business entity, I can call as a employer. Okay, so therefore, if any transaction between the director and business entity, between the officer and business entity, and between the employee and the business entity, these are to be related transaction. Okay, so the transaction between business entity and director, or the transaction between business entity and officer, or the transaction between business entity and its employee, these are related party transactions. Okay, right, that is the thing. So therefore, as per the provisions of Companies Act, officer includes a director. So every director is an officer, but every officer may not be director. So officers are usually working one level below the board of directors. That's why I have given like this. Officers are usually working one level below the board of directors. Okay, right. Next. So this is the think such persons are officers or directors of one another business. Such persons are employer and employee. So the officer definition to be read as per the Companies Act. The officer definition you have to read as per Companies Act 2013. Okay, right. Next. So such persons are legally recognized partners. So therefore, a partnership firm is there. Within the partnership firm, two partners are there, partner 1 and partner 2. Within the partnership firm, two partners are there, partner 1 and partner 2. These are deemed to be related. These are deemed to be related. Legally related partners. Legally related partners. In a partnership firm, two partners are there, partner one and partner two. They are treated as related persons. But the question arises is this: the transaction between firm and the partner may or may not be related. The transaction between the firm and partner may or may not be related, because in similarly in case of company also, when they are saying company to director, it is related. Company to director, it is related, but not company to shareholder. But not company to shareholder. That is not given. Therefore, I can argue that the transaction between partner and firm may or may not be related. Sir, whether it is related or not related, please confirm. I will not confirm. Depends upon your client. Whatever is convenient for your client, you argue like that. Okay, so if you feel both related, if you feel both treating both as related person is convenient to your client, argue like that. No, sir, it is not convenient to us. Then argue that firm and partners are not related, because the definition says two partners are deemed to be related, not the transaction between partner and the firm. Similarly, as I discussed, company and director are deemed to be related, not the company and shareholder. Not the company and shareholder. So here some people may argue company has a separate legal identity, partnership firm does not has a separate legal identity. As I told you, right, whatever way convenient for you, for your client, you argue like that. So if you feel, so if it is convenient for your client, if it is convenient for your client to treat that both are unrelated, argue this definition. To treat both are unrelated is beneficial to the client, argue this definition. No, sir, treating both as same is convenient to the client, then argue that company has a separate legal entity, partnership firm does not have a separate legal entity, therefore they are deemed to be related. So whatever is convenient for you, for your client, let us argue, and whatever the other person's reply, the commissioner's reply, that will discuss, that will see later. Okay, therefore there is a disputable area. It is a disputable area whether the transaction between the firm and partner are related or not. In our practice life, whatever is convenient for you, for our client, that will argue. For every provision, we will have two explanations, because whatever the explanation beneficial to the client, that we will argue. Okay, right. Therefore, the transaction between two partners are related transaction. Okay, next. So a third person controls, owns, holds directly or indirectly 25% or more voting shares or stock of both of them. Okay, look at this. Third person controls. Third person controls. Say for example, Mr. A. Okay, so Mr. A holds DEF Limited and DEF Limited and MNO Limited. DEF Limited and MNO Limited. So if he is holding 25%, if he is holding 25%, then these two are deemed to be related. Then these two are deemed to be related. Then these two are deemed to be related. DEF and MNO, those two are deemed to be related. Remember, to treat that as a related, 25% should be there. That 25% may be ownership or control. A person who controls, owns or holds 20%, 25% of voting stock or shares, both of them. Therefore, A Limited and DEF and MNO are deemed to be related. Look at this. Look at this. ABC and Co. is owned by Mr. A. XYZ and Co. is controlled by Mr. A. Whether both are related parties, the answer is A. ABC is owned by Mr. A. ABC is owned by Mr. A. Whereas XYZ is controlled by Mr. A. ABC and Co. and XYZ. ABC owns A owns ABC. A controls XYZ. Both are deemed to be related. Both are deemed to be related. Okay. Right. Not only ownership, it can be one ownership and it can be one control. Okay, right. Now in this you may ask the definition. Sir, you are saying DEF Limited and MNO Limited are related. Okay. How about the transaction between A and DEF Limited? How about the transaction between A and MNO Limited? Whether these are related party transactions? Whether these are related party transactions. So if this 25% gives control, if this 25% gives control to them, then they are related person under this. One of them directly or indirectly controls something. To treat a DEF and MNO are related, so that 25% is enough. With that 25% shares, whether you are getting control or not, it is irrelevant. With this 25% shares, if A is going to control DEF Limited, then they are related. If with that 25% shares, if A is going to control MNO Limited, then both are related. Therefore, whether the relationship between A and DEF and also the relationship between A and MNO is governed by this point. One of them controls another. The control can be from different ways. The control can be from different ways. Look at the definition of control as given in the Companies Act. Control shall include the right to appoint majority of the directors, not only that, or to control the management or policy decisions. To control the management or policy decisions. If this is there, 25% is not required. Okay, that is the thing. So A Limited and D Limited controlling. Okay, so A Limited controlling DEF Limited. Okay, so MNO Limited. If A Limited is controlling, if A Limited is controlling MNO Limited and DF Limited, then also both are related. This is related, this is related, this is related. Okay, if only 25% shares are there, then only DEF and MNO are related, but not A and DEF and also not A and MNO. But if rather than 25%, if they have given directly as a control, A is controlling DEF and A is controlling MNO, then A and DEF is also related, A and MNO is also related, and DEF and MNO is also related. Now, the question is, rather than A, if they say ABC Limited, DF Limited, and MNO Limited, rather than A, Mr. Person, A is a person. ABC Limited is a body corporate. ABC Limited is a body corporate. Okay, so now how about this? Whether they controls both, whether they are treated as a related persons, the answer is same. The definition applicable to both legal persons and natural persons. Okay, wherever the person definition is there, it covers both natural persons and legal persons. It covers both natural persons and legal persons. It covers both natural persons and legal persons. The definition of person as given here, that covers both natural persons as well as legal persons. Look at this explanation to section 15 says, okay, the term person includes legal person. The term person includes legal person. Therefore, both are okay. So it can be A also fine or ABC Limited is also fine. Both are related. Next. Next, such persons together control a third person. Such persons together control a third person. Look at this here. ABC Limited, MNO Limited, DEF Limited. Okay, if both are controlling together, they are controlling a third person. Together, they are controlling a third person. Now, these two are deemed to be related. These two are deemed to be related. ABC and MNO together, they are controlling DF. Therefore, they are deemed to be related. ABC and MNO are related. So, DF Limited, ABC and MNO. As discussed above the same example. I'm repeating just for your comparison. This is control. This is control. Now these two are deemed to be related. Now these two are deemed to be related. DF, ABC, and MNO, those two are deemed to be related. Okay, so either both together they are controlling third person or they are being controlled by third person. Controlling third person together, controlling third person, together controlling third person, being controlled by third person, being controlled by third person. Together controlling third person, being controlled by third person. Okay, together controlling third person, being controlled by third person. Okay. Okay. So one of them controls another, or third person a voting stock. One of them controls another, or third person controls both of them. Such person together controls third person. So third person controls both of them. This is the case. Third person controls both of them, or both of them together control third person. Okay, a third person controls both of them. So A is controlling B and C. Such persons together they are controlling third person. B and C together they are controlling A. B and C together they are controlling A. Okay, right. So the person may be legal person or artificial person. Next, such persons are members of the same family. Such persons are members of the same family. Okay, so what is family? We have to check the definition that what is family. Oh, it is given in the definition. Look at this. Family means spouse and children of the person. This is a taxable person, registered taxpayer or taxable person. Spouse and children, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the persons, if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. Okay, right. Now I'll discuss that. So some tax person is there, registered tax person. Okay, some tax person is there, spouse, okay, and children. The tax person's children. The spouse means wife or husband. It can be wife or it can be husband. Okay, and now this person's grandparents, this person's parents, and this person's grandparents. Okay, and this person's brothers or sisters. Look at the definition says, okay, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters. Parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters. Okay, right. Now the transaction between this is related, this is related, and this is related. This is related and this is related. The thing here is, okay, these need not be whether or not dependent. Okay, whether dependent or not. So these are deemed to be related, whether or not dependent. Okay, maybe dependent or independent. Maybe dependent or independent. Maybe dependent or independent. So this also may be minor or major. Maybe minor or major. Maybe married or unmarried. Children, that's it. Married or unmarried. Okay, maybe dependent or not independent. Maybe dependent or independent. Okay, so far as spouse is concerned, spouse may be dependent or independent. So far as children is concerned, children may be minor or major, children may be married or unmarried, children may be dependent or independent. Now these persons, grandparents, parents, brothers and sisters, these are related, but they are mainly or wholly or mainly dependent. Okay, they should be wholly or mainly dependent. Then only they will call it as a related persons. Mainly or wholly, mainly or wholly dependent. mainly or wholly dependent, then only they will be treated as a related parties. Okay, persons of the same family or related persons. Next, one of them is the sole agent or sole distributor or sole concessionary of the other. So the word sole says exclusive rights. The word sole says exclusive rights. So I am appointing one person as my agent. He has to work for me only. Then only he is called as a sole agent. I am manufacturing some products. I have appointed some distributor. Okay, so that distributor has to deal with my products only. Then he'll be called as a sole distributor. Okay, right? Sole agent or sole distributor. Sole agent or sole distributor. GST Act has given definition for agent. Okay, so as per the CGST Act section 2 class 5, this is the definition of the agent. Agent means a person including a factor, broker, commission agent, delegate agent, an auctioneer or any other mercantile agent by whatever name called, who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both on behalf of another. This is the essential test. Okay, who carries on the business of supply or receipt on behalf of another. Supply or receipt on behalf of another, either goods or services. I am receiving the goods or I am supplying the goods, I am receiving the services, I am rendering the services on behalf of another person, on behalf of another person. So these are the normal positions by whatever name called, by whatever name called. Therefore these are only some examples of agents: factor, broker, commission agent, delegate agent, auction. These are some examples of agent. These are some examples of agent. We cannot say that only those people are agent. They are saying by whatever name called. You put any name, not only the above names, factor, broker, commission agent, not only that other names, you put any name. If this condition is satisfied, if this condition is satisfied, then that person is called a agent by whatever name called. Those are only examples. Okay. Mr. A is there. Okay, some third person is there, some principal is there. Either he is supplying goods, either he is supplying goods or rendering services, or rendering services, or rendering services. For this supply or service, principal is accountable. For this supply or service, that principal is responsible to the third party. The quality of the goods or the quality of the service or timeliness of supply or timeliness of delivery, principal is responsible to the third party. Or similarly, he was receiving goods, he was receiving goods or services, he was receiving goods or services. For that also he is responsible, for that also principal is responsible. Principal is responsible. Therefore, A is acting on behalf of. So I can call it as a B and this person as a C. Therefore, A is acting on behalf of. A is acting on behalf of B. A is acting on behalf of B. Then A is an agent by whatever name you call. You can call A as a commission agent or a factor or broker, delegate agent, or whatever name you put, whatever the designation you have given to A, that is irrelevant. The title or designation given to A is relevant because the definition says by whatever name called. You have to check this condition. Essential condition to determine supply of goods or services or both. This is an agent, sole agent. So that means A has to act as an agent only on behalf of B. A should not act as an agent for any other person. Then A is called as a sole agent. Act on behalf of, is acting on behalf of B only. Okay, he is acting on behalf of B only, sole agent. Is acting on behalf of a B only, that is a sole agent. Next, sole distributor. Sole distributor. Okay, sole distributor. B is supplying goods. B is supplying goods. A is a distributor. A is a distributor. And A is giving the goods to the customer, retail customers. Okay. So this person, A has to deal only with B's goods. A has to deal with only B's goods. A should not deal with the goods of any other person. A should not deal with the goods of any other person. Then he is called as a sole distributor. Then he is called as a sole distributor. A has to deal with the goods of only B. He should not deal with the goods of any other person. Therefore, A is called as a sole distributor. Next, sole concessionary. Sole concessionary. Okay, concession. What is meant by concession? And concessionary. Concession. Okay, so concession means permission, giving right to use something, giving right to use something or to do something, giving right to use something or to do something, giving right to use something or to do something, right? So now you may ask one doubt, sir, right to use of the property is a lessee, right? Then why you are calling it as a concession? Okay, A has one property, A has one property, and A is giving right to use the property to B. Okay, right to use, right to use. So A is the owner of the property. A is the owner of the property. A is giving right to use to B. Okay, then normally we will call it as A as a lessor or owner and B as a tenant or lessee. Then what is concession? When I can call it as a concessionary, I can call it as a concessionary when I can call it as a concessionary. Not always. Normally they are called as a lessee or tenant. I can call B as a concessionary when when there is a dispute between A and B. When there is a dispute between A and B, in that to put an end to the dispute, A is allowing B to use the property. That is called as concessionary. That is called as concessionary. There may or may not be consideration. That's why for related party transactions, even though there is no consideration, they are deemed to be supplied. There may not be consideration. It's not that A is taking rent from B to give that property. There is a dispute between A and B. To put an end to the dispute, to put an end to the argument, he is giving up. Concede means giving up. Okay, so concessionary means a person to whom concession is given to put an end, to put an end to an argument or to put an end to the dispute. That is very important. Okay, right to use. So normally when A has one software, when A has one software and A is giving allowing B to do to use the software, I'll call it as a license. Normally I'll call it as a license. But in case of dispute between A and B, to put an end to the dispute, to put an end to the argument, if A has allowed B to use the software without paying any money, then B is called as concessionary. Sole concessionary. B alone has to use that. B alone has to use that. Normally what happens in case of slum areas, so some people are occupying the land. So over a period of time, government will agree that okay, you use the land, there is no dispute for that, you use the land. Okay, you use the land. So in that case, that persons will become concessionaries. So what is meant by concession? Giving right to use something or to do something with a view to put an end to the argument or dispute. With a view to put an end. What you are doing is important. Why you are doing is also equally important. With a view to put an end. With a view to put an end to the argument or dispute. With a view to put an end to the argument or dispute. With a view to put an end to the argument or dispute. So this is what is done. This is what, and this is why. Okay, so they are giving right to use something or to do something. Why they are giving? With a view to put an end to the argument or dispute, then it is called as a concessional. Okay, right. So that's all with the definition of related persons. Right. In the next video, we'll come across with another provisions.